Hi everyone, I'm Mike Dubé from CaseNet Media.
And I'm Mitch Moran from Acadia University.
And today we'll be speaking about what happens when you get a bad batch of wine. So the holidays are soon approaching, and for many families that calls for good food and good wine. And one of our CaseNet speakers, Mike Mainguy from Luckett Vineyard in Wolfville, Nova Scotia, describes the vineyard as a one-stop shop for tourists, and explains it's more of a place where you can get a sit-down lunch, kind of have an afternoon with your family, as opposed to kind of like a manufacturing facility. Try finding someone who wants to spend an afternoon at a chemical plant or something. It's really unique to the agri-food industry.
Exactly. And so one of the kind of cases we looked at, and another CaseNet presenter was Ben Switnam, who's actually the winemaker at Avondale Sky over in the Avon Valley. And what we had kind of looked at is, particularly in this case, is things don't always go as expected in the wine industry. And particularly how one of his batches back in 2010 had gone bad and what he had done with that bad batch.
So in the manufacturing business, sometimes companies have to get creative with spoiled batches of product to avoid waste and try to recover some of their costs. So what did the winery actually end up doing with the bad batch? Well, most of us know that wine essentially comes from grapes, but what's the process that winemakers look for?
So kind of a Cliff Notes version, more often than not a lot of people quite know the process behind grapes and how they're grown and the whole process behind that. It's a very scientific process, and it's a process that's delicate too. So grapes are definitely, at least here in Nova Scotia for sure, a lot more sensitive to the weather for sure, because it's cold. I'm sure most of us know how cold it gets here in the wintertime. Yeah. So pretty much how it works is the yeast inside the actual, so the grapes first of all ferment, and then there's the yeast inside of the actual mixture, and the sugars and the juices create the actual alcohol, and then from there it's all mixed, refined, aged, and then bottled. So it's an extremely delicate process, as I said before, so lots can go wrong. A lot of different things can go wrong, and essentially what we looked at here in this case was what winemakers do with the wine, with the batches that go bad.
So back to our original point, what happens when a batch doesn't come out quite as a winemaker wanted it to in the first place? Well, let's look at this. A successful company will always figure out a way to make the best out of a bad situation. And some companies actually make a living out of selling those bad situations. So going a little further into what I mean, here's an example. There's a company based out of California named the Accidental Wine Company. So what they specialize in is selling wine that once had blemished labels. So maybe a crate of 12 bottles of wine, one of them smashed, the rest of the labels are stained. The company can't actually sell those bottles, but the wine itself is still consumable. So what they ended up doing was buying this discarded product at a discounted price, and then they sell it at a huge discount to customers. And it's a good company because they even offer a subscription service, for their loyal customers. So what they've actually done is successfully sell a product out of a once disregarded good, really.
Yeah. So it's kind of the same creative thinking that Ben does at Avondale Sky Winery. So the moral of the story, I guess, and kind of our point of the video today is to say, one man's trash is another man's treasure, really. So that's kind of the thought process and the main point we kind of wanted to make today here in this CaseNet video.
Right, and those are really good points. And actually, speaking of which, I recently read an article published on a website called Scroll, and it was all about how industries are finding innovative ways to deal with what another company would consider waste. So listen just briefly to all the different examples. These are just a few examples that the author had mentioned. The fact that plastic bottles are being pulverized into fleece jackets, or old tires and pallets are being repurposed in playgrounds to make different items. So, or even the Swedes are burning garbage for energy, really. Yeah. So, in an open mind, I guess the possibilities are pretty endless with what the closed-minded would consider waste, and that's something to think about next time you're stuck for a new idea. So this video actually all stemmed out of the Avondale Sky Winery case. That is one of our many videos on CaseNet. It can be found in our library, and for more information on that case, or what Mike Mainguy ended up doing in his situation, you can check out our website at casenet.ca. Be sure to check out our social media pages as well. Thanks, and we'll see you later.